What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. And in this video, we're going to go over new details about the stimulus package that has been released by the Republicans, and also what the Republicans and the Democrats are saying about it and what is going to happen with it. But first, if you're not subscribed, click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on second stimulus check updates and unemployment extension updates. My wife and I do all the research for you every single day, so we can bring you all the information in a quick, concise video. And don't forget to smash the like button for us down below. It really helps out our channel. Okay, the Republicans have released their new stimulus bill called a skinny bill last night. And if you haven't watched one of my past videos, it includes some good things and some bad things. The good things are it includes a unemployment extension to the end of the year, and that is at $300 per week. Unemployment boost money on top of the regular unemployment money. So if you have lost your job, there's about 29 million people that are currently collecting unemployment. This would extend your federal boost money of $300 per week all the way to the end of the year. Next up is money for small businesses and education funding. This money would provide billions of dollars for small businesses through the PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Program. This time around, they're limiting the PPP money to businesses that have less than 300 employees. So they're trying to cut out a lot of the larger businesses that make billions of dollars or many, many millions of dollars. And the business also must have seen a drop of at least 35% of their revenue during the first or second quarter of 2020. This also helps them pay for the paychecks of their employees, Paycheck Protection Program. This actually helps millions of people keep their jobs at small businesses and helps prevent the small business owner from going out of business, which we're starting to see record numbers of small businesses go out of business right now because there's just a lot of small businesses that are down by 25 to 50%, and most small businesses do not have a profit margin of anywhere near 50%. Next up is education funding. There was a previous agreement between the Republicans and the Democrats to provide $105 billion in money for schools, of which it's kindergarten through grade 12 and also for colleges. And about 2/3 of this money would be reserved for schools that reopen for in-person instruction. So if they're not fully reopened, they wouldn't receive 2/3 of that money or until they reopen, as long as they do it before a deadline. It will also produce money for what they're calling school choice, which is what Ted Cruz was a big proponent of. We'll talk about that here in a second. More about Ted Cruz. It would also provide money for school choice scholarships that parents can use to send their child to a public or private school outside of their home district, and fund grants to eligible childcare providers so that they can pay for cleaning supplies, safety equipment, and other expenses. It would also give $10 billion to the post office. The Democrats were looking for $25 billion. And the Republicans are giving $10 billion. This might be something that needs to be negotiated on. We'll get to the negotiations here in a second also. This would also provide liability protection from virus-related lawsuits for both employers and for healthcare workers and facilities. This would provide protections for employers against liabilities in any virus-related lawsuits brought by workers. Employers would not be held liable unless workers' claims met a stringent test. The bills state they must provide clear and convincing evidence that the employer was not making reasonable efforts to comply with the latest pandemic-related safety guidance, and that the employer was grossly negligent or willful or did something that actually caused the exposure, and that the actual exposure caused personal injury to the workers. And get this, in cases where workers allege they contracted the virus at their workplace, they must provide a list of every place they went and every person they interacted with both inside and outside their home during a 14-day period before the onset of symptoms. And when people have to do that, that's going to make it a lot harder to sue somebody or business or whoever they're suing over a virus that you don't really know where you caught it. So when you provide a list of places you've been in 14 different days and who you interacted with, it's going to be pretty tough to say, hey, I caught it at this very specific place. You guys can let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. What is missing from this skinny bill? That is money for state aid. That's a big thing that the Democrats want, but that would really be in a larger stimulus package. The Republicans are trying to call this a skinny stimulus package, and they just want to pass this and then move on to another package. So the Democrats are not going to like this at all. And the other major thing is there's no stimulus checks included in this bill. And that's a sad fact. I don't know what the Republicans are doing this time around. Again, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. The Republicans did have stimulus checks in one of their last bills. I think it was their last bill, the HEALS Act. There was $1,200 stimulus checks, and the Democrats had $1,200 stimulus checks in another round for their second stimulus package, the HEROES Act. So they both want it, but they didn't include it in this time. Now, I'm not sure if that's because they think the president is going to pass this through a presidential executive order, which he announced on last Friday that there's $300 billion in a checking account just sitting there from the first stimulus package. This money is just sitting there and hasn't been spent. And that the president wants to send that as direct checks. And if Congress can't agree, that they're exploring ways to do that through a presidential executive order. The other thing is the Democrats initially said that they don't like this bill. It's mostly Republican, and they're calling it a non-starter unless there's a lot more agreements. The other thing is Mitch McConnell's hunting for votes. He's not even sure if he's going to get the 51 votes in the Senate to even pass it just with the Republicans. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, aka Mitch Better Have My Money, was still searching Tuesday afternoon for 51 Republican votes. There's 53 Republicans in the Senate, and they need all of them minus 2 to vote for this package, or they won't even be able to pass it in the Senate alone. For this $500 billion economic relief package that he hopes will put pressure on Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to soften their demands. So honestly, I think that the Republicans have just made a grave mistake announcing this package, because there's question if it's even going to be passed in the Senate. And then if it's passed in the Senate, they still need to get the majority of Democrats, well, not the majority of Democrats, but they need to get all the Republicans and a bunch of Democrats to vote for it in the House. And it doesn't look likely that they're going to be able to do that unless a bunch of Democrats vote against Nancy Pelosi and say, hey, we just want to pass some stimulus, unemployment money, money for small businesses, and then they can work on the next thing after that. Now, if that did happen, if they do pass it in the Senate and they get some Democrat votes in the House and they pass it, that would set the stage for the president to come in and basically pass the stimulus checks through the presidential executive order. And then we would have pretty much everything we're asking for: unemployment money, money for small businesses and small business employees to protect their paychecks, to protect their jobs, and stimulus checks. So that would pretty much give us everything that we're here for, everything that you guys want. So that the only thing it wouldn't provide that I haven't seen anything of is hazard pay. I'm sorry to report, but I have not seen anything on hazard pay at all. They're not even talking about it at this point. That doesn't mean it won't happen in the future, but at this point, I just have nothing to report to you guys about hazard pay. I think that's sad. Especially a lot of our heroes and our essential workers have been working through this entire pandemic and basically kept our country afloat and kept our country open, and they're not providing any additional hazard pay at this point. I always try to be honest with you guys. I always try to give you guys things in a positive light. But, if something's negative, just like this bill, I still report it to you. And if there's something negative, like there's no hazard pay, I report it to you. So I just bring you guys the news. I try to give you guys a positive uplift bring. So when you watch my videos, you feel positive afterwards, not negative. Unfortunately, right now we have negative news, so there's not a lot of positive going on except for the unemployment money in this and the money for small businesses. So there is some positive news, but I know the majority of you guys are looking for the stimulus checks. So we're going to have to see if they negotiate with the Democrats and add that in, if this bill doesn't pass at all, and then they come out with a new package, which is why the negotiations are really the most important point, or if the president steps in and passes that $300 billion that he said is just sitting there in a checking account and he wants to use it for stimulus checks, if they pass that either as a standalone bill or the president steps in and passes that through a presidential executive order. I will keep you guys updated on this. Make sure you stay tuned and subscribed. You can click the bell icon next to the subscribe button if you want to get notifications. I have videos going live at 10 a.m., 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So stay tuned. I will keep you updated as the new information comes out. And don't forget to smash the like button for us down below. You can watch these videos. It's my newest stimulus check videos next. And this video teaches you how to start a business on Amazon FBA. I have students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video.